Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Sammons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today I'm very excited to be joined by Kim Rogne, content creator and online business mentor and the founder of For the Love of. Kim works with individuals to help them grow their audience, build personal brands, and turn content into real income through offers and monetization strategies. Her work focuses on bridging the gap between attention and business, helping people move from just creating to actually earning. Kim, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you, Olivia, and thank you for all that you do to inspire all of your listeners. You do amazing work, by the way.
I appreciate it, and I'm very much excited to dive in and obviously hopefully inspire some more people with this episode today, which will be a really cool aspect. So, Kim, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning of their journey. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started For the Love of, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
I love this question. So yes, I do come from a background of being in the real estate space for 25 years. My first 15 years, I was in commission sales, so 100% sales. And then the last 10 years, I was in broker management, sold my book of business, and was the CEO of several multimillion-dollar brokerages. Very successful on paper, but not always feeling successful in my life. I didn't necessarily start Flow or For the Love of because I needed another business. Honestly, I started it because I needed a better way to live, a better way to feel. I was very addicted to chaos, very addicted to problem solving, felt fulfilled when somebody was at my door knocking and say, "Hey, do you got a minute?" And just knew nothing besides that. And so after a forced slowdown, after a skiing accident and being forced to slow down and reflecting, I ripped the Band-Aid off and retired from that role, not quite knowing exactly what I would do, but I did know I needed to go make money and make money quickly and make an impact as quick as I could because I had a family that depended on my income. And so here I am entering my fourth year running For the Love of.
Oh, I love it. Beautiful. I love it. And I feel like I know exactly what you talk about. Within, obviously, we was chatting before we started recording, and within that real estate space, it is very chaotic. So naturally, if you're drawn to that kind of atmosphere, it'll be a beautiful place to blossom and grow, but it can often leave you feeling like you're not fulfilled. And I think that satisfaction of feeling fulfilled is one thing a lot of people struggle with because they do end up within a career, and then obviously naturally you grow, you need the income, you need to keep going and going. But if you're not satisfied with maybe the product you're selling, the service you're providing, you often, as you say, feel like it's successful on paper, but it doesn't always reflect how you feel on the inside. Mm-hmm. And I suppose my second part of that is, did you always naturally aspire to be an entrepreneur? Because I feel like when you grow through your journey, or did that just naturally happen to you as you realized you needed to pivot and really put yourself first for a change?
No, I naturally have entrepreneurial tendencies. And what I mean by that is I can sell anything, right? So I grew up in an era where we had home shows, right? Whether somebody was selling makeup or jewelry or whatever. And let's say I was hosting a show, I could sell it. So I would say where it started is I'm naturally a great salesperson.
Lovely.
Or whenever something really cool would come across, even as a gift. For example, my mother-in-law made me a wine cork crown. So out of wine corks, she made me this crown maybe 5 years ago, just because it was a funny gift. And I was like, oh, wait, we could like sell these and make a business. And yes, I very much have a business aptitude and sales aptitude. And I'm always looking for how could I create a business out of this? Not always a good thing. Sometimes it's, could we just enjoy this necklace? We don't need to go make 100 of them. So yes, that has always been in my spirit.
Beautiful. But you've always had that perspective, which I think is a really cool thing. And naturally, especially if you are that like person that loves sales and can very much dive into that kind of environment, I think it naturally sets you up for anything, any kind of journey within entrepreneurship. And just with that little bit of creativity, as you mentioned there, like you do want to sell everything. It's like anything can be a product that we can move forward. And I like that perspective. I think it's a beautiful thing. You're just sharing commonalities with other people at the end of the day. Kim, so let's dive into For the Love of a little bit more, just so the listeners can have some context as we move throughout the podcast. So at this point into the business, I know you mentioned around fourth year coming, who would you say is your ideal client? Who is it that you very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it you help them? And how do you support them along their own journey?
Yeah. Where I started was working with anybody who really honestly was a high performer, right? Maybe not somebody new in the business. They're 100% commissioners. Obviously, real estate agents. I tracked a lot of those that are making six figures or more who are looking to honestly feel their life, if that makes sense, feel full engagement, joy, confidence that comes from consistently living their best life without burnout. And so that's naturally who I work with. I would say 90% of those that I work with are women. That's just seems to be whenever I speak, that's who I attract. I am a woman. I have two daughters. At first, I tried to deny it and I was like, okay, that's it. I can help these ladies out. So that's one. That's who my ideal client is, somebody 100% commission, owns their own business, and really loves their work and wants to come from the mindset of abundance, meaning and versus or. How can I be a great business owner and a great wife, spouse, friend, whatever that might look like?
Yeah.
And then the second group is maybe more because I just really enjoy a new business owner. I have quite a few clients that are brand new to starting their business in their 20s, and they are maybe unconventional in the sense of not going to college, not getting a job, not being a W-2, and their family maybe is not fully supportive, but they have a dream, they have a gift, and they want to go start this thing. And so I've got a number of clients that are brand spanking new. So it's two
Yeah.
spectrums.
Beautiful stuff. And I can see how the two spectrums really like correlate to yourself. As you say, you can very much put yourself in the position of the people you're working with. So like even with women, we have different nuances when it does come to business. I think men differ from a little bit. And I'm not saying men don't suffer with some aspects, but necessarily when you are an entrepreneur, there's stuff like imposter syndrome comes into play. And when you are that high performer, as you much described yourself as earlier, that can very much impact you as you are looking to scale and just move forward throughout your own life and finding that harmony that most people are looking for. And then naturally, business savvy doesn't come natural to everybody. So I like the fact that you are like in the trenches with those new business owners, very much helping them find their feet and grow that journey that they want to go throughout themselves. So Kim, like what is it like to work with you? What is your style, your approach when you are working with your clients?
Oh, what a good one. I don't know if anybody's ever asked me that. So if I can have one perspective, but even if I just look back at some of the reviews that I get, one, I'm very high energy. So I'm always going to bring you energy. Two, very authentic and real, probably a little bit too much to the detriment of maybe my husband who doesn't want me to talk about him all the time. We're going on 29 years of marriage. But the reason I'm that way is because I'm not just coaching the tools or the systems or the ways of thinking. I'm testing them. So I am by nature a very rapid learner and completely obsessed with personal development, whether it's for your emotional, physical, family, friends, financial, all of the areas that I coach to. And because of that, I study and listen and read at a really high level and can take in content like a savant. And then I can teach it my way or bring the resources. And though that's my style, right? It's you're going to be in my space if you want humor, if you want authenticity, if you want to be pushed, but also you're looking to have fun. Like sometimes I'm working with a client and they're all wigged out and stressed out and I don't know, maybe they're running their own business and they just lost their partner or their receptionist or their admin person. I'm like, okay, let's just take a breath and how can we make this process more fun? Like, we don't need to be serious all the time.
I love that. And I think when you are that kind of personality, as you say, throughout coaching, I think you need that little bit of a push, but then also to make it lighthearted on the same side. Because
Yeah.
naturally, as you say, life can happen. So avoiding those stressful situations will just help you keep yourself balanced. And then having that motivation to the coach that is very knowledgeable, can obviously provide you with all that information as well, just helps so much with the process. So I really enjoy that approach to it.
Yeah.
And obviously, are you very much in the trenches when you are working with your clients? Is it very much like a hand-holding experience all the way through?
Yes, everything that I'm coaching to, I'm doing as well. And
Love
so
it.
even with my flow self system, which kind of happened accidentally, it was because I was practicing some mindset, perception, reality, potential type activities myself. And then in turn, I created something out of it. But it was because I was practicing it.
Yeah.
And even just little things like we recently moved and I wanted to test the habit of the drawer that I go into to get, the utensils because we moved it from our other place. And so I remember sharing the story that, hey, to create a new habit, I constantly was turning to the left of the refrigerator because that's where the original door was from where we moved, but it was way far away on the other end of the kitchen. I'm like, you guys, my brain, in order to get rewired based on that habit, took 3 months
Oh,
just to go, not to think about where to get the fork. And if somebody's struggling in whether it's in their physical health or maybe they want to be more intentional with their kids and put their phone away and not look at it, whatever it might be, because we're whole beings and I coach to the whole person, it always takes longer than you think. So I'm constantly testing what my brain does so I can bring those stories and I can bring those real life things that I have done to the table, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, that was one example.
I love that. So you're using yourself, as you say, as that guinea pig. And I think the
Oh,
biggest
yeah,
thing with mindset work as well is it's not like a linear trajectory. It does go in a spiral. So you are constantly learning and reevaluating what you can
right.
happen. And funny that you mentioned habits there, and I do that all the time. I'm constantly in the wrong cupboard for the wrong plates. But I just finished rereading Atomic Habits, and that's
Oh,
exactly how you describe it. It's rewiring your brain like little bit by bit,
yes.
those 1% better every day. And those habits will naturally kick in and hopefully override the ones that we had beforehand and just take control. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit and I do want to get into the nuts and bolts of the business before we move on. So, naturally, it's a very busy and noisy world at the moment. So, how do you go about acquiring your customers? What kind of marketing or tactics are really working well for you at the moment in just setting yourself apart, finding those right people to work with?
I definitely, my number one lead generation lever is speaking. So I do speak a couple times a month, whether that's virtually or live. I think that just allows me to connect and people to understand my energy, and either they're attracted to me or they're not. And right. And then they want more information. So that's one. And then I just got to be honest, right? I'm entering the fourth year. I'm still trying to figure out which social media platform I should be on, right? Like I've really dived into Instagram. I committed day one on Instagram. I've been consistently there, but I'm now going to be trying some other things and pivoting on more of the long form with blogs and probably YouTube because that's more my style. So I would love to say that I have it all figured out, but I don't. I will say this, one of the things, if anybody's listening and they're like me and maybe they're less than 5 years in the business, is I am testing things constantly, but
Yeah.
before moving on to the next, I'm making sure I commit to it for at least 12 months because you cannot measure something unless you're committed for a longer period of time. And that is completely uncomfortable for me because I'm a naturally great starter, not always a finisher, but it was a commitment I made to myself when I started For the Love of. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
going to commit.
Beautiful. I think that's a really cool approach because naturally a lot of people get blindsided with that shiny object syndrome, and there are so many platforms and then so many nuances to each platform at the moment. You have to give it the fair time to just build
Right.
either in that organic way or even if you're running ads, just to make sure things are clicking and you can obviously B test whatever you want to do and then just take it from there. Speaking and long form content, I think, are an amazing way to build trust with people. Naturally, you get so much, like, you hear so much for the vibrations of somebody's voice. As you say, they will very much know by the end of that what it's like to work with you. They'll
Right.
feel your authenticity, and hopefully trust you by the end of that session, whether it is long form content online or, as you say, just being in the right rooms with people. I think it's a really great asset. Naturally, Instagram's amazing. I think it's one of the top platforms to be using. So, yeah, diving in and taking your time to see it grow is a really cool approach. Do you run any form of advertisements just to maybe help with the consistency coming in, or is it just very organic with what you're doing at the moment?
I've tried that. Did I commit to it? Not really. I would say mine is more organic. It honestly is when I'm in front of people and we meet and we feel the
Yeah.
energy. Like right now, I feel your energy. And yeah, that seems to be what works for me.
Yeah, cool stuff. And as you say, the right people will find you from that aspect. It's just building on top of that and seeing
Mhm.
where we can get to. And Kim, do you have a team that are helping out at all, maybe supporting on the back end, or is it pretty much you wearing all the hats, covering the whole show at the
Oh
moment?
no, I could not do this myself, and nobody should. First of all, I definitely have the support of my husband. So there's a reason we've been married 29 years. And when you rip the band-aid off from a very cushy 10-year W-2 job where you have predictable income and you're like, hey, honey, I'm gonna go start this thing. That's my first team member that was like, okay, you can go do this. And then I committed day one to working with a marketing manager. And so I do have somebody who works for me about 20 hours a week for that. And then, of course, my assistant, Kai, that would be my AI. So,
Love it.
right? She's not doing the work for me. I do the thinking. She just excels my thinking or my ideas. And so I always like to explain her this way, just like I would an assistant. I have ideas. I take that idea from a 0 to a 5 or a 6. Then I share my idea. She maybe gives me some more ideas and takes me from a 6 to a 7 or 8. I don't copy and paste. And then I take it from the 8 to the
Love
10.
it.
And
Yeah.
then, yeah, so that's who I have right now. From time to time, I might bring on like a virtual assistant to do calling for me after a large speaking event. But yeah, that's my team.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. And it's a lean but mighty team. Obviously, with utilizing AI is a great aspect, and more people are
Yeah.
leaning into it as they should. I really like the way that you obviously describe that. As you say,
Mhm.
it's not doing the bulk of the work for you. It's more of like a sounding board where you can just
Mhm.
enhance what you're thinking, making sure I use it a lot for spelling, I'm not gonna lie, and just make sure everything
Yeah.
is aligned with you, but it helps you ease that process because content creating can be a pain and it can be a very long process. So it's a big hat that a lot of founders have to wear. So it's nice that you have that support, and even with obviously the marketing manager as well coming into play, a really cool aspect. And I suppose with all that being said, like Kim, what are your ultimate goals or ambitions for the company? When you think of maybe like the next 6 to 12 months, what are those targets or those milestones that you're looking forward to achieving?
First of all, it's scaling my flow self system, which I've got a freebie for all your listeners on that. It's figuring that out. That's one, and continuing to talk about that and share that information so that it can impact others who are looking to consistently live their best life. I would say after that, because my husband is retired after being on a fire department for 30 years. He's also working part-time now with our investment properties, but I'm not looking to work 70 hours a week anymore. I want to somehow figure out, and I am figuring it out, how I can pack a really good, purposeful amount intentional work within 35 hours a week and build a big business. And so that takes a lot of obviously building systems and automations and all of the behind the scene. And so those are some of the things that we're working on right now.
Yeah, I love it. So streamlining so you can make like time in your life as well as in the business, having that nice
Yeah.
cohesive kind of union going on. Really cool stuff. And where are you probably finding like the biggest challenge in achieving that goal, or even within the current business, taking those next steps?
Oh, Olivia, we'd have to be here about another hour. So
Talk
let's
to me.
be real. Well, first, I would say I think we're all, whether we have ADHD or we've been diagnosed with it in the world that we live in, we all have that, and especially as entrepreneurs. So, one,
Yeah.
I'm very challenged with distractions. Even when I talked a little bit about social media, is there's so many different platforms, but if you're really going to utilize the platform for your marketing, to get you the sales, to get you the results, you can't be all over the place and you have things to learn. So for me, the biggest challenge that I have, but I'm very self-aware about this, is sticking with something long enough to really, as I like to say to my clients, squeeze the juice out of it and not focusing on too much. Did you really squeeze the juice out of that new CRM system that you got 6 months ago, and now you think you need to get a new one because you think it's going to be the solution? So that's where kind of the flow self system came about, was how can I just talk about that because it truly is the core of my business. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
No, I love it. And I think it's where a lot of founders go wrong as well. I say it's that shiny object syndrome, you think, because everyone
Yes.
else has a million courses or they're doing this or on their platform, I need to be doing the same thing. And it's not. You can have one very streamlined offer and just very much put all your intentions into there. And yeah, naturally with ADHD, I feel like most entrepreneurs need to have a little bit of something. Otherwise,
Yeah.
how are you getting through the day? So yeah, and it is just about like getting your blinkers on and just trusting that you are squeezing that juice before you move on to the next one. It's very much easier said than done. But Kim, I have one final question to ask you. So, if you could go back in time to a younger self and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
Okay, I'm going to break the rules because I'm a rule breaker. So you just need to know that. I'm going to
Mhm.
give you two because
Okay,
one is going to
I'll
be
accept it.
personal and one is going to be business because our personal matters. First of all, I'm 53 and I love being 53. But for the ladies that are listening out there that are not in their 40s or 50s yet, eat the cake. Like, get over it. Stop worrying about comparing yourself and how you look and how you feel to others. Just be you. Do not worry about that so much. That's one. not that I'm going to eat all the cake now that I'm 53, but I'll at least have one piece on my birthday. And then two, for work, it's very related to what I think we've been talking about is, I think of it this way. I have a newer client right now who I'm mentoring, not coaching him, I'm just mentoring him. He is his fourth year in college, so he's a senior and he's an entrepreneur. And since we started mentoring together, he has at least started 10 businesses, from a barber shop in the back of a van to an entertainment thing that he put together where college students could come and listen to a rock band. Now he's started something new in January. And this is what he said to me. He's, Kim, I'm not getting the results. When we were talking about his challenges, and I said to him, I said, remind me when you started this business. We are now, right now, recording this 3 months into this year. And that's when he started the business. I said, you haven't given it enough time. You have to just stick with it. What you're doing is right. Give yourself grace. Keep pouring your heart into it. You will get the results. And so if I could go back to my younger self, I wish that all of the ideas that I had, I would have just stuck with some of them a little bit longer to experience the real success.
Yeah, I love that. And my brain went straight to, obviously, like, Rome wasn't built in a day. Things do take time to get to where you want to be. And as you said throughout the whole podcast, it is just knowing that you've squeezed all the juice before you quit. But Kim, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do?
Thank you, Olivia. Obviously, Flow Self is my system. So if you just go to flowselfsystem.com, that's FLO, like for love of, so flowselfsystem.com, or you can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and you could just DM me the word flow, FLO, and I'll send you that. And that will be a great tool for you to be able to use so that you can reach your full potential.
Beautiful stuff. And thank you again, Kim. I really appreciate your time today. And
Thank you.
to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out Kim Rogne. As she said, drop her a message on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Please check out the website flowstate.com. Was that?
It's Flow Self,
Flow
FLO,
Self.
selfsystem.com.
Beautiful.
Flowselfsystem.com.
Flowselfsystem.com. We'll put everything else below, but please go and drop her a message. I'm sure she'd love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.